For all of the accolades talk that you keep hearing Terrence Bud Crawford and his fans say, and all the disrespect they give to Al Heyman, let's be clear. Al Heyman made Terrence Crawford what he is. Let's talk about
it. Straighter, not a roundhouse right hand.
And that's what we've been talking about. The straight shot is the one where he gets leverage on it.
I don't want to kill somebody
back
for
a little bit.
seconds.
Nah, I want a body on my record.
Now, I want to see you fight motherfuckers. I do. All right, I'm with you. I'm with you. As long as you're trying to fight the great, the best competition.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
In 2017, Julius Ndongo had destroyed Edward Troyanowski for the IBF title in like 42 seconds. After the Edward Troyanowski fight, he went and he fought Ricky Burns for the WBA title. So he unified those titles. Felix Ndongo had two of the belts. Terrence Bud Crawford was the WBC and WBO champion. The fight to be made was Terrence Crawford versus Julius Ndongo for Undisputed. That was the number one fight at 140 to be made. However, there was someone in the way of that fight. A fighter by the name of Sergey Lipinets. Sergey Lipinets is he was the IBF mandatory, and he is an Al Heyman PBC fighter. Always has been. So an article came out at that time, and this is what they said. Those clamoring for a super lightweight unification fight between IBF and WBA champion Julius Ndongo and WBC and WBO champ Terrence Crawford, including the fighters themselves, will have to be patient. The IBF has ordered Blue Machine to face top contender Sergey Lipinets in his next fight. Lipinets confirmed the news on his Twitter page that Ndongo smashed Edward Troyanowski in 42 seconds for the IBF title. Then, this past Saturday, saw him run through Ricky Burns in the UK, proving rather decisively that the Troyanowski thumping wasn't a fluke. Lipinets presents a different sort of challenge. The former kickboxer has monstrous power and a relentless attack, but stands only 5'7" to Ndongo's 5'10 and a half. It would undoubtedly be interesting to see whether Ndongo's offbeat sniping could turn away Lipinets' onslaught. A full unification match is still the ideal, but I wouldn't complain about this one coming together. Here's hoping Ndongo eschews dropping the belt and locks horn with Lipinets. Now, what they were saying at this time, because the IBF mandated Lipinets, they mandated Julius Ndongo to fight Sergey Lipinets. Even though Julius Ndongo was trying to fight Bud was trying to fight Ndongo. The IBF and Al Heyman got in the way of this fight. The IBF did what they were supposed to do in mandating Sergey Lipinets, but it was on Sergey Lipinets and Al Heyman to step aside to be able to fight the winner or to force their mandatory. This was ongoing for a while. The LDBC, me included, were consistently and constantly emailing and calling the IBF to tell them, hey, we want to see Undisputed. This is the fight we want. And I know us pushing for it has something to do with it. However, it wasn't the only thing. Al Heyman advised Sergey Lipinets to step aside for Undisputed to happen, and he will be the first one at the winner. Al Heyman. Now, this is Al Haymon advising for his fighter to step aside so that a top rank fighter can fight for undisputed. Well, that kills all the talk. That kills everything of people saying, oh, well, Al Haymon's bad for boxing. Al Haymon's protecting his fighters and blah, blah, blah. This was, to my knowledge, the first time that he advised a fighter. Actually, no, correction. That's the second time. Because the first time was with Charles Martin being able to fight Anthony Joshua instead of fighting Deontay Wilder. The second time is this one, advising Sergey Likinuts to take a step aside and fight the winner of Julius Ndongo versus Terrence Bud Crawford, of which he was played because right after Terrence Bud Crawford won undisputed, he vacated the IBF. Right after that. Now he got an opportunity to fight for that, and he got an opportunity to fight Mikey Garcia for it. But still, it wasn't the fight that he was supposed to get. He was supposed to get a fight for 2 belts. He got a fight for 1. So he was played, and Al Haymon is the one that helped Bud become undisputed. So when you put those two things together, you're sitting here like, well, Al Haymon and Top Rank don't work together. It's the size of the street and all this. It's blah, 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 and yada, yada, yada. They sued Al Haymon. And yet he still had advised his fighter to step aside for Top Rank to have an undisputed champion. But yet you guys run through here talking about how Al Haymon this and Al Haymon that. Al Haymon's bad for this and Al Haymon's bad for that. So many people are doing all of these negative things and blah, blah, blah. And Al Haymon is the ringleader. If it wasn't for Al Haymon, Terrence Bud Crawford would not be undisputed. Because Terrence Bud Crawford's last fight was Julius Ndongo. That was his last fight. So what would have happened is Julius Ndongo would have vacated his IBF title. Terrence Bud Crawford and Julius Ndongo would have fought for 3 belts. Sergey Likinuts would have fought someone for the IBF title, and Terrence Bud Crawford would have moved up to 147 because that was his last fight. He would have moved to 147 the exact same way that Danny Garcia did. A unified champion, not undisputed, a unified champion, the lineal champion, the top dude, moving up to 147. That's what Bud would have did without Al Haymon. So all these accolades that you do, just talking about accolades, and it gets accolades, it's my accolades, his accolades here and accolades there. He became undisputed because of Al Haymon. Al Haymon made Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford's accolades, his pound for pound status and all that nonsense is due to Al Haymon allowing him to become undisputed. He did not have to. And after Al Haymon allowing this man to become undisputed, how he's doing now with Errol Spence, how he's doing now with Errol Spence is the thanks that he gets. This is the payback for it.
What?
It's like that.
Oh, no, you didn't. Wait a minute. No, you did. Hey, Jay! Hey! Jay! 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 Come back here! Jay! You disloyal, fool-ass, bitch-made punk. Jay!
You played Sergey Likinuts because you were supposed to fight Sergey after you beat Julius Ndongo. You didn't. You fought Julius Ndongo and then you moved up. You always knew that was your last fight. So you played Sergey Likinuts. Then you played Al Haymon. Well, you played them both at the same time. Then you played Al Haymon again. Because now, although 60-40 is a damn good deal, you're like 50-50 or no fight. I understand the fighters need to get paid as prize fighting. They're doing the work. I get it. I got no beef with that. But when you guys is running through here on a constant basis, talking about accolades this and accolades that, just understand where he got those from. Al Haymon. BFTB. Shout out to the mighty LDBC. And I'm out.